Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am joined today by a man whose voice is as smooth as a glass of sweet tea on a porch in July. For those who may somehow not know who you are you?
Well, hello there, Calvin. I'm Kenny Rogers. Some folks know me as the Gambler, but I've always just thought of myself as a storyteller who happened to sing.
The Gambler himself. We are so glad to have you. Let's start at the beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on August 21st, 1938, in Houston, Texas.
What was your given name at birth?
My name was Kenneth Ray Rogers.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
I was the fourth of 8 children, born to Lucille and Edward Rogers. In a house that full, names were just a way to make sure the right kid came when dinner was called.
What was your hometown like growing up?
We lived in a federal housing project in Houston called San Felipe Courts. It was a tough area, but it was full of life. We didn't have much money, but we had a lot of spirit. It taught me how to be resilient and how to get along with all kinds of people.
What was your family life like?
It was crowded and loud, but very loving. My father was a carpenter and my mother was a nurse's assistant. They worked incredibly hard. Money was always tight. We were poor, but I honestly didn't know we were poor until I got older because everyone else around us was in the same boat.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a dreamer. I was also a bit of a hustler. Not in a bad way, but I always wanted to find a way to make a little extra money to help out or buy something nice. I was the first in my family to graduate from high school, which was a big deal to us.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
At first, I just wanted to be comfortable. I saw how hard my parents worked, and I wanted to make things easier for them. Once I found music in high school, though, the dream became all about the stage.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
Music, music, music. I started a rockabilly group called the Scholars while I was at Jefferson Davis High School. We actually had a local hit called Strawberry Roan. That feeling of hearing yourself on the radio for the first time, there's nothing like it.
What was your first job?
Besides the odd jobs around the neighborhood, my first real career job was playing upright bass in a jazz group called the Bobby Doyle Trio. I learned a lot about discipline and musicianship in that trio.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
I think it was when I realized I could feel what an audience wanted. I wasn't the best singer in the world and I wasn't the best musician, but I knew how to connect. I understood that people don't just want to hear a song, they want to feel a story.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Joining a folk group called the New Christy Minstrels. It felt like just another gig at the time, but it led to me forming the first edition. That's where things really started to move for me.
What was your biggest break?
It has to be Lucille in 1977. I had left the first edition and was deep in debt. I was nearly 40 years old, which is old for the music business. That song went #1 all over the world and gave me a second life as a solo country artist.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
The lean years after the first edition broke up were tough. I was trying to find my sound, and I had a lot of people telling me my time had passed. I had to learn how to reinvent myself from a long-haired rock singer into a country crooner.
Did you ever consider quitting?
I don't think quit is in my vocabulary, Calvin. I might have considered changing direction, but the music was always going to be there. I just had to figure out how to sell it.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I was always an early riser. I liked to get my business done in the morning so I could focus on the creative side later. I also believed in being the most prepared person in the room.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I probably would have been a professional photographer or a tennis coach. I loved both of those things dearly. Photography especially was a way for me to see the world differently.
What was your life like before fame?
It was a scramble. It was playing 3 shows a night in small clubs, driving the van, and hoping the check didn't bounce. But looking back, those were some of the most fun times I ever had.
How did relationships change after success?
Success can be hard on a marriage, and I'll be the first to admit I didn't always get it right. It takes a very special person to deal with the travel and the attention, but I always tried to stay close to my children.
Did fame bring happiness?
It brought security and opportunity. Happiness for me was being on my farm in Georgia, taking pictures of the landscape and being with my family. Fame was the engine that allowed me to have those moments.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People thought because I sang country, I was a good old boy from the woods. But I was a city kid from Houston who loved jazz and pop. I just loved the stories that country music told.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
A lot of folks thought the gambler persona was who I was in real life. Truth is, I'm not much of a gambler at all. I don't like losing money. I just like the philosophy of the song, knowing when to hold 'em and when to fold 'em.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
It changed my zip code, but it didn't change my heart. I always remembered being that kid in the housing projects. It made me appreciate every single fan who bought a record.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My mother. She was the one who told me, always be happy with what you have, but never be satisfied. That kept me working and growing my whole life.
What was life like in your final years?
It was wonderful. I did a big farewell tour to say goodbye to the fans, and then I retired to spend time with my wife Wanda and our twin boys. It was the first time in 60 years I didn't have to worry about where the next show was.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was focused on my photography and putting together my memoirs. I wanted to make sure the stories were told correctly for my kids.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on March 20th, 2020, at my home in Sandy Springs, Georgia.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was actually a very good tennis player. I used to play in celebrity tournaments, and I took it very seriously. I even had a national ranking in the doubles for my age group at one point.
What was your favorite food?
You can't beat a good Texas steak or some southern fried chicken. And I had a real weakness for ice cream.
What was your favorite book?
I loved books on history and biographies. I was always curious about how other people navigated their lives.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
When we recorded We Are the World, I was the one who went around and had everyone sign my sheet music. I knew it was a historic moment, and I wanted a souvenir just like any other fan. All those superstars in one room, and I was acting like a kid with an autograph book.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Figure out what you do better than anyone else, and then do it until your fingers bleed. And remember, success is only worth it if you have someone to share it with at the end of the day.
Kenny, this has been such a treat. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before we sign off?
I just want to thank everyone for listening. It's been a long, beautiful ride, and I hope my music brought a little joy or comfort to your lives. Just remember to enjoy the journey, because that's where the real music happens. Thanks for having me, Calvin.
Thank you, Kenny. Truly a legend. From the jazz bass to the gambler's deck, you've given us so much. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod